court is in session. Call in the jury, please. Proceed, Mr. Miller. Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Mr. Franklin. Good afternoon. I still have you under cross-examination. Still under oath, sir. Before we move on to some different topic areas, I just wanted to clear up a couple of things you testified to in response to some of Mr. Rainier's questions, and then we'll move on to some new ground, or different ground, rather. Mr. Rainier was asking you about having an illegal cell phone in Tangible Hope Parish. Do you recall those questions and answers, Mr. Franklin? Yes, sir. You've been incarcerated now almost 3.5 years in federal custody, right, sir? Yes, sir. Have you only had an illegal cell phone in Tangible Hope? Yes, sir. Or have you had an illegal cell phone in St. Charles and in St. Bernard, too? Just Tangible Hope. In Tangible Hope, how many different illegal cell phones did you have? 2. How long were you housed in Tangible Hope Parish? Like about a year and something. That was mostly in 2014, right, sir? Yes. Prior to the indictment of the 39ers in this case? Yes. Did you have those 2 cell phones pretty much the entire time that you were in Tangible Hope? No, sir. How many months did you have those 2 cell phones? Like about 6, 7 months. You did explain, I think you told Mr. Rainier, it's easy to get them. But explain for the jury how you get into your possession a federal inmate sentenced to a life sentence for murder. How do you come about getting an illegal cell phone in Tangible Hope Parish Prison? Someone in the jail put your microphone closer to you. Someone in the jail that had the phone sold it to me, and I bought it. So you bought the phone from another inmate? Yes. Do you know how he got the contraband in the jail? No, sir. You said you had 2 cell phones in Tangible Hope. How did you get the other one? Same way. Brought it from someone. Did the U.S. Marshals know you had illegal cell phones in Tangible Hope? No, sir. You kept that from them? Yes, sir. Now, you know, sir, that when you're housed as an inmate and you use the wall phone, and by the way, all the calls that we listened to this morning were from the wall phone in the jail, correct, sir? Yes. You know that when you place those calls are recorded, correct? Yes. The other person who is being called knows that the calls are being recorded, right? Yes. Because there is a recording that comes on and warns everybody that it's a call from an inmate in a correctional facility, and the call is being recorded, correct? Yes. So you know you're being listened to, right? Yes. Now, with the cell phone in jail, you can talk about more confidential information, right? That wasn't for the use. Well, a cell phone in jail is not necessarily tapped like a wall phone, right? No, sir. What about Mr. Rabbit? Did Mr. Rabbit, to your knowledge, have any illegal cell phones in jail? I heard about him having one in St. Charles. Did you ever speak while you were in Tangible Hope on your cell phone to Mr. Rabbit, who had an illegal cell phone in St. Charles? No, sir. How did you hear about Mr. Rabbit having an illegal cell phone in St. Charles? I heard about him going to the hole for a phone. Did he tell you that? Word travel, just through different inmates that go on, different people that's at different jails, you know. Did Mr. Rabbit go into the hole in St. Charles for an illegal cell phone while you were there with him? No. So, he went into the hole in St. Charles for having an illegal cell phone while you were in Tangible Hope or St. Bernard? I don't know where I was at, but I wasn't there with him. Thank you, sir. The other point I wanted to clarify a little bit, Mr. Franklin, before we move on is all the time you served in jail so far, so almost 3.5 years, that's a lot of time in and of itself, correct, sir? Say it again. That's a lot of time, 3.5 years in jail, right? Yes. The time you served so far. Yesterday, when you were testifying about Mr. O'Fray, You mentioned that Merle was boring because he liked to sit inside and watch ESPN all day. Do you recall that testimony, sir? Yes. I took that to mean you didn't like being bored, right? No. You like action, right, sir? Not action. I like doing things. I don't like sitting inside. I don't watch sports. I don't care for sports. You must like being on the go, right, sir? I don't like sports. Oh, you don't like sports. But you don't like sitting inside watching TV, right? I watch TV. I watch movies. I say I don't like sports. So that's why you thought Mr. O'Fray was boring? I always thought that watching sports is boring. The point is, it's no fun being in jail, and you haven't had fun being in jail the last 3.5 years. Right, sir? No, sir. While you're sitting there in jail, do you ever reflect on your life and wish that things had turned out differently? Wish that you would not have gotten involved in a life of crime? Wish that you would not have been involved in the murders and drug dealing? And led what some people would say is a more normal life? A life like mine? A life like the court reporter? A life like members of the jury? Yes. Do you have those thoughts, sir? Yes. Are you ever sorry for what you've done and wish that, oh, I wish I would have taken a different path in life, gone to school, gotten a job? Yes. Do you ever feel bad for any of your victims? The people who were shot or murdered? The heroin addicts whose lives are ruined because of heroin addiction while you're in jail? Yeah. You lay in your bed at night, sad about that? Yes. Sir, when you wrote that letter to Jasmine Perry in the summer of 2015, apologizing for what you had done to him, you were having one of those moments, weren't you, sir? You were feeling bad for what you had done. It was on your conscience, and that's why you wrote the letter to Mr. Perry. Correct, sir? No. Tell me again why you wrote that letter. I couldn't follow it. I'll be honest with you. Oh, because I was on protective custody. I was on there for like a month, 23-1. You don't come out of your cell nothing but an hour. So the only way I could get placed is on a tier where it's peaceful. So I just wrote him a letter like, I ain't got no beef. I'm not going to cooperate with the government on you. So I could just go over there. Just in case I go over there, we won't have no problem. But sir, the missing link in all of this is, there is no evidence at all in this case that you were placed in the hole because Jasmine Perry was also in St. Charles Parish. I wasn't placed in the hole because Jasmine Perry was placed in St. Charles Parish. But as I understood your testimony, you wrote the letter to Jasmine Perry to get out of the hole. So that's where I'm missing the link, Mr. Franklin. I just don't understand that explanation. So it wouldn't be any conflict. I wrote the letter to Jasmine Perry like, I'm not going to cooperate, so you should have no beef with me. I'm not going to come in. I'm not going to take the stand on you, so there shouldn't be no beef. That's why I wrote the letter. But that was a lie, sir. I know. So, you're writing a letter to Jasmine Perry telling him you're not going to cooperate. Again, I'm missing it. How does that relate to you getting out of the hole? I never said it's related to me getting out of the hole. I said it's because if I was to fall on a tier, go where he's at, we wouldn't have any conflict. But you said there were 4 different federal tiers in St. Charles Parish Prison. Yes. Jasmine can only be on 1. Yes. So, you could have gone to any one of the 3? I said, yeah, that's it exactly. You didn't have to write a letter to get out on the tier with Jasmine Perry. I said in case I would have. Well, did you write letters to other inmates in the other pods? No. Do the same thing, cover all your bases? That's not my friend. I wasn't a part of them. I wasn't testifying on them. Jasmine Perry is your friend? He was my friend. He's not your friend anymore, is he? No. Let's go ahead and put the letter up. I know you had trouble reading it. I can give you a hard copy. I think Miles already introduced it into evidence. You got it? You can read from that one? Uh-huh. Son, I know I hurt you. You don't have to read the whole thing, Mr. Franklin. I'm going to ask you about 3 or 4 different lines, and then we'll move on. Okay, sir? Okay. You read the whole thing. You read the whole thing this morning, correct, sir? Yes, sir. Let me read from my hard copy, too. Judge, this may be a letter after we're done that I'd like to publish and give to the jury, just because it's difficult to read on the screen. Okay. If Miles doesn't have an objection to that, it's in evidence. It's Government Exhibit 39, Your Honor. Right here, Mr. Franklin. You see where I'm underlying on the screen? I know you've got to look at the screen and then look at the letter. I'm just trying to give you an orientation point. You see that you say son. When you say son, you're referring to Jasmine? Yes. My client, this man right here? Right? Yes. You said, I feel so bad for doing this to you. Right? Yes. What you're talking about is implicating him in all those crimes with the 39ers. Right? No, I meant telling on him. Telling on him. Telling on him about things you claim he did to get him in this case. Right, sir? No, things that he did. Well, things that you said he did. Then, sir, can we move the page up? Okay, I'm underlying some additional words. Do you see this, sir? Yes. What you're saying right here is, what you think I or want me to do to get out of this situation. That's what you're referring to, right, sir? Yes. And it's done. Yes. You and T-Red are the only two I feel bad for and can't see myself looking over. Yes. And is willing to do what I can do to save you, son. Do you see that? Yes. Now, you claim you were writing this letter, and it's all lies, correct? According to you sitting here today, right? Uh-huh. And your motive for writing this letter was to get moved somewhere in St. Charles Parish Prison because Jasmine, I think, was in Tier B, and you wanted to get over there in Tier B. Is that correct, sir? No. Jasmine Perry was not in Tier B. Jasmine Perry was on D. We was D-Pod. But the point is, it was not for to get moved. It was because, I told you, in case I was to fall in the tier for them, it wouldn't be no problem. But the point is, you were trying to get out of the hole and into a tier, right? Yes. Without any problems? Yes. Without any problems from Jasmine or Jasmine's friends? Yes. Why are you mentioning T-Red in this letter? Just to make it sound more believable, mention someone else. You just picked him out of the crowd. He was just the lucky man that day? If that's what you want to call it. Well, why did you pick him out? I just told you, just to make it sound real.